It's a motivating idea behind democracy. Everybody's a private citizen. There are very few public citizens who spend time engaging in the community at local, state, national, international level to advance justice.
Public Citizen is a unique organization for a whole variety of reasons. And we combine a really broad agenda with deep levels of expertise. We've kept tens of thousands of people alive through the work that we've done in the courts, in Congress, in the executive agencies. But the record of achievement of this organization is unparalleled.
I'm Dr. Sidney Wolf.
When Sid and I decided to start the Health Research Group, it was to monitor the Food and Drug Administration and the medical profession and hospitals.
These are hugely dangerous corporate drug pushers being treated gently. I mean, they are paying up a fraction of the amount of money that they sold in OxyContin. Nobody seems to be going to jail. Something's wrong with that picture. We've tried to get 33 different prescription drugs taken off the market. 23 of them are off the market. Drugs like Darvon, like Bextra, like Reslin, the diabetes drug. Every year we put a ranking out of state medical boards as to how good a job or how terrible a job they do in disciplining the physicians. We've also put out reports naming the names of hospitals who violate a federal law and illegally dump sick patients from their emergency room before diagnosing them and stabilizing them. I've been here for about 40 years. I told Mr. Nader after several months that it would probably be the last job I ever had in my life, and happily, I was right.
Alan was working in the district attorney's office in New York, and he just didn't think it fulfilled his desire to practice justice.
And I had a million cases I wanted to bring.
Cases that commercial lawyers would not take, but cases that, if they're won, radiate opportunity to have access to justice for thousands or millions of people.
We were the litigating arm for Public Citizen, and for that matter, for all the rest of the public interest community when they needed somebody to go to court.
To better enhance public health and safety in the area of drugs, internet free speech, defending the rules behind class actions, food regulation, medical device regulation, auto safety regulation. And many of the major Freedom of Information Act cases are litigation group cases. The litigation group has argued 59 Supreme Court cases. We'll have our 60th coming up next month.
I think our greatest accomplishment is still doing exciting, important, meaningful work 40 years after we started.
In the last month or so, we have defeated the Koch brothers in litigation in Utah.
This is the best job a lawyer can have.
I said, you know, Ralph, if you really want to affect Congress, you have to have a lobby group. And he said, good idea, why don't you head it?
It was to be a watchdog on Congress. It was going to document their votes. It was going to document their misbehavior. It was going to document who owned them, who rented them.
It was such fun. There were no holes barred. You went to Ralph and said, look, I just learned this. He said, terrific, let's do a press release. Let's write a report.
One of her great contributions is that she blocked what was euphemistically called regulatory reform.
This bill is unjust, it's unworkable, and it's not properly financed.
Some of our biggest recent accomplishments are, first, helping pass a reform bill for the Consumer Product Safety Commission so that it could go back to doing a better job of protecting the American public. Another significant recent achievement is passing the Dodd-Frank Act.
You know, Goldman Sachs makes a lot of money. They're going to make tens of billions of dollars in 2009.
They have the worst environmental record of any oil company operating in America.
We have a crisis of corporate accountability. But one thing we've got on our side is the truth, and we have the right values, and they do a lot to neutralize all the advantages that the other side has.
And they get huge amounts of payouts from the Congress and the Treasury Department. Is that right?
Nuclear power was going gangbusters until the early 70s when Public Citizen suddenly started looking at it. Ralph wanted to have a big conference on nuclear power. In 1974, we formed something called the Critical Mass Energy Group.
What Public Citizen envisions is a different kind of energy future, one in which families are in the forefront of generating clean, zero-emission energy from rooftop solar by being armed with the incentives they need to invest in energy efficiency. It's also about transforming our energy system away from the current giant coal-fired power plants or nuclear power plants that all cost a ton of money and are dangerous.
Ever since Public Citizens was first organized, They've sounded the alarm at the way we have subsidized big oil and big coal, the polluting industries.
You make a mess, you are responsible and accountable for it.
We played a leading role in exposing the corruption and wrongdoing of the California electricity crisis and the role that Enron had, and that was one of our proudest moments.
Well, the president's plan is garbage. The president's plan does not go far enough. We need 40
There's no
miles
pleasing
a gallon.
you people.
The Public Citizen Texas office has had many accomplishments. It's been a real beacon in what is otherwise a political wasteland.
The mission of the Texas office is to be the most effective consumer and environmental organization in the state of Texas. And for 25 years, we've been raising hell and kicking ass and winning a lot of victories. We have over 10,000 megawatts of renewable energy up and turning now, more than any other state in the nation and more than all but 7 countries on Earth. Today, we're deep in the fight to clean up Texas's oldest and dirtiest coal plants, make sure that they either get retired or retrofit with some cleaner types of energy. And we organized all over the state to help us stop the expansion of the nuclear plants.
I tell Smitty the story that we hired him because he indeed at that time was the only applicant, but it's worked out pretty well.
He didn't tell me that at the time. He kept saying, well, we've got lots of other qualified applicants that'll take the job for less. Kept pushing.
You have trucks barreling down the highway. They take 4 times as long as cars to stop. And so if you have it 70 or 75, they're going to go 80 and 85. So have you no respect for the sanctity of life? There are
Sanctity of life?
The auto safety group emerged piece by piece. I really wanted to do some substantive work, and it's what I really loved. We have really affected auto safety in this nation. Cars are so much safer, and we have passed all sorts of laws. A law in 1991 that required airbags to be put in all cars. Another law that required rollover protection. Firestone and Ford should bite the bullet and think about saving lives. We affected truck safety and stopped the move for longer combination vehicles. There's actually a very critical issue pending right now on hours of service for truck drivers, which Public Citizen has been deeply involved in since 1974. It's just been a remarkable experience to see how much we could achieve with minimal staff and capacity. The auto industry is still in a state of shock about it.
They say a WTO agreement would destroy their livelihoods and put them out of business.
Ralph Nader, like usual, was ahead of the curve, realizing that the corporations we'd been battling domestically were using these trade agreements. This backdoor sneak attack to deregulate many of the key health environmental standards that we'd fought 20 years to establish at Public Citizen. We've stopped the expansion of the World Trade Organization. Folks saw the great protests in Seattle, of which we had a very large role. We stopped an expansion of NAFTA to 31 countries. We intend to replace the existing corporate-led rules of globalization. They give new privileges and rights to corporations and handcuff our governments and our civil society movements, our activists, our public, for the things that they want.
Power to the people! Power to the people!
Public Citizen has a major leadership role to play there.
It is impossible for me to even imagine this nation would be like without Public Citizen.
I've often said that a prime function of leaders is to produce more leaders, not more followers.
We have so much incredible talent within the organization.
People who are tenacious, hardworking, and persistent.
Idealistic, effective, concerned.
We're just afraid of nothing.
There's just no better job.
I'm really proud to be a part of the team.
We have taken no money from industry.
We work for the greater good, we work for the American people.
And stop the bad stuff from happening.
I hope to be here 10 years from now to celebrate our 50th anniversary.
On issue after issue, we're the ones who see it, organize it, research it, plan it, drag everyone else in, and set up the hardest fights against the biggest odds.
What are the new areas where corporations are finding ways to control our society? What are the new threats that corporations are imposing on us? We have to continually adapt and find new ways to get the upper hand so that we're in front of where they are going.
You are the ones that are faithful to the American consumer and their health, their safety, the protection of their families. And I honor you for the work which you do for our country.